Hello, I'm back with another GTN Coaches Corner. Every Monday, we answer your triathlon training and racing related questions. You can fire in any questions you like using the hashtag GTN Coaches Corner beneath this video or any other video for that matter. This week, I'm talking about winter niggles, looking after your triathlon gear, half marathon goals, and arm swing whilst you're running. So, first question from Steve Robinson. I often find that I get lower limb niggles around the winter, such as knee pain, Achilles issues, etc. I do tend to increase my run mileage over this period, but with far less intensity. Is there anything I can do? Well, this is a really good question, and actually, I have definitely been in this boat too. So, one thing that it could be the cause, and for many people, is that you're not protecting your lower limbs enough over these colder months. Particularly if you have low fat on your lower limbs, on your legs, your knees, your Achilles, your tendon, they can be exposed to the cold. So in short, wrap up, and also in addition to that, maybe just doing some light warming up in the house or wherever you are indoors before heading out for the run, just getting those joints mobilized and also just those tendons, etc., just gliding nicely before heading out and just expecting them to run straight away in the freezing cold whilst being exposed to the cold. I wrap up so much during the winter for this very reason. Also, it's very worth taking a look at the running shoes that you're using during the winter. I know personally I tend to use off-road shoes during the winter, and I've also heard people using off-road shoes and then getting niggles as a result because they're just using any old off-road trail shoes for a bit of grip. Make sure that you're getting off-road shoes that still suit your gait and are comfortable to wear for the runs, the longer runs, and so on. But a really good question. Next question though, from Williver Ollis. I'm new to triathlon. I love it, but there's so much gear. Any tips for looking after the kit, specifically the bike, and any go-to tools that you would recommend? Adding a bike into the equation does complicate things considerably. And I remember when I very first started doing triathlon, I just found the bike so stressful. Not the actual cycling part, just the looking after it, constantly having to fix things, not really knowing how to fix things. But with time, I've learned a heck of a lot. One, and probably the biggest bit of advice I would give you, is clean your bike regularly. I used to be terrible at cleaning and maintaining my bike, and actually it costs you more in the long run. Things wear out far quicker, and actually if you just get in from that ride, I know it's the last thing you want to do, but just start cleaning that bike down, it will increase the lifespan of that bike considerably. And with that, get some proper cleaning tools and substances, because it will make your life so much easier, and also get that bike pretty much looking like new. It's so therapeutic when you do it. Now also might be a good time to ask Santa, perhaps for a small bike toolbox if you haven't already got one. A few small tools that I use and find I can't do without. Some Allen keys. I imagine most people out there have a small hand tool set, but I'd also recommend getting some standalone Allen keys, just because then you've got the extra leverage should you need that. Also hex keys to go with that. A lot of bikes these days have the hex bolts, and you're probably going to need a set of those at some point soon. With that, also getting a torque wrench. You will notice on a lot of bikes it has 4 Newton meter, and that is the amount of force that you should be tightening those bolts up to, and so you should really get a torque wrench for that. Pedal spanner, if you haven't already got one, we'll probably need one of those at some point. A chain whip and a cassette removal tool. Those are very basic tools that you can do a lot with and probably see you a fairly long way. Obviously you can get a lot more in some of these toolkits and go wild. Next question from Natalia Martinkova. This very long question. I'll try and abbreviate a little bit. I'm back to running after almost 3 years of a long health break during which I could walk a lot and bike a bit. But they're planning on running a half marathon around a 2:30 time in April. Is this realistic? My weekly load is currently 13 kilometers spread over fast, slow and long runs. Having first run erratically, I'm now following advice from your channel and trying to methodically increase by 10%. They're currently, their best pace is 9:16 minute per kilometre pace in a fast session. They also add in that they are 46. Essentially just asking whether they think this is possible. Well, currently, just looking at you specifically, Natalia, 9:16 per kilometre on a fast session. If you were to hold that for 21.1k, that is obviously around 3:13 for that half marathon. To shave 45 minutes off that is quite a tough ask, but there is still plenty of time. So I'm not saying this isn't possible and to hang those shoes up already. The fact that you are substantially adding more and more running to your load, your program is quite promising, and you've gone from pretty much no running. So it's great you've backed things off and you're taking things slowly. For yourself, I wouldn't worry too much about complicating the training too much, and this goes for a lot of people. If you are starting out in running and you've got the plan of running your first half marathon, just focus on building up the weekly mileage, and with that, just perhaps one longer run per week, but don't overcomplicate it with lots of fast sessions. The most you might want to do is a little bit of pace work in the last 2 to 3 months prior to that event. But yeah, you can end up getting bogged down in the complications of speed workouts, threshold sessions, but actually at this point, just focus on building that mileage up and being consistent with that. Next question from the West per runner. Hello, I'm a high school cross-country runner. I've recently been fortunate enough to get a podium at the Wisconsin State Meet. Well done. Best 5K this season was 15:47. Pretty decent. But they want to take their training up to the next level with some more strength work. I've heard a lot of different approaches to lifting for runners. What kind of rep range would you recommend? Also, which are best lifts to focus on? Really good question. And also, obviously, I'm assuming you're relatively young, doing the Wisconsin Meet and a high school cross-country runner. Now, obviously, there is a bit of a divide within triathlon communities, but even actually the pros as to those that do weight training and those that don't. In fact, we did a recent Ask the Pros, and I was actually surprised at how many people didn't do strength training, and I would have actually assumed did do. If you do any gym work, and this goes for anyone of any age, I'd fully recommend getting a coach to show you through the movements and the exercises. That way you are practicing good technique and good habits from the outset, and that form that you will learn through doing those exercises will transfer and be taken forwards through a lot of other exercises. So it's really important you do that early on. Now, very generally speaking, most gym or strength work that you do to complement your triathlon training will be more at the higher rep end, focusing on strength endurance rather than all-out power over 1 or 2 reps. So you're looking more at like 8 to 12 reps, and therefore the weight will reflect that rather than being too high for those 8 to 12 reps. But as I say, get some advice on this, yeah, they can show you through how to do those exercises. We do also have some videos on the channel, which I'll drop the links to in the description down below, which run through some really good exercises for the gym that will help you for your running. Next one from Ben Phillipson says, hey guys, keep up the great work. I've been loving the content. I've got a question though regarding break sessions. I'm taking a break from triathlon this year and want to try an ultra marathon, but I really enjoy break sessions. Who doesn't? I was thinking about doing some strength and conditioning, then a long run afterwards. And just wanted to know what is best to do with weights. Shall I go heavy and then go slow on the run, or the other way around? Now, I think this is a really good question, because relevant of whether you're just doing ultra marathons this year or you're actually still doing triathlon. Actually, this whole kind of complementing your workouts with strength training and being tired going into one and another is actually a really good way of doing your training. It's a good way of almost simulating that fatigue that you might experience on the run during a triathlon, particularly during an Ironman. And you can actually get that fatigue in your body by doing a really, really intense bike workout before brick session or doing a strength workout. Now, to answer your question specifically, Ben, I'd probably mix it up, do a bit of both, do a hard gym session before and then go for a long steady run, and then also do the opposite, do an easier gym session and then go for a really intense run workout after. That said, you're doing ultramarathons, you probably don't need to be doing lots of high intensity pace work. But for triathletes out there listening to this, I definitely recommend doing both, bit of brick session workouts, and also doing some weights and then going and doing your long run or some workouts after, or vice versa, workout then into strength and gym workout. Good stuff. Final question though, Jay DeSimone. When I run, my hands don't come up very high in front of me and my elbows don't drive very high behind. However, my cadence is good, above 170, and my pace is not bad for a 47-year-old. Brilliant work. I have to really focus on swinging my arms more, and it makes training more fatiguing due to the extra focus. Does it matter? Again, really good question. Now, obviously here on the channel, we often advise on good and correct technique for running. And whilst it might be a good guide and something to strive for, it doesn't necessarily mean that your technique is wrong if you're not doing that. I mean, a good example is just simply look at the elite marathon runners at some events. You've got a whole range of different techniques. Some people barely move their arms, some have a massive swing. Now personally, I do find the swing helps a lot, and I notice that even more so when I'm running uphill. I use that arm swing to kind of almost help with that. And also the arm swing for me actually helps to increase my cadence, because I can end up with quite a loping, slow cadence, and actually just focusing on the arm movement can help with that. If you would like to keep trying, then I would maybe build in some drills, because by doing the drills, it just helps with that movement and getting you used to doing that. But it could also be simply due to some restriction in your upper body, due to a lack of flexibility. You're almost fighting yourself to get that arm swing. So by doing a little bit of upper body flexibility and loosening, may just make that a little bit more natural rather than almost fighting yourself. Now, in regards to the drills, we have covered this many times before on GTN, and we've got a load of different drills that we'd recommend. And so here are a few examples that I'd recommend to help you with that arm drive. Well, if you'd like to see the full video with those drills in, then you can find the link for that in the description just down below. But that is it for this week's GTN Coaches Corner. I hope you guys have enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you've got any more questions, please do leave them in the comment section down below using the hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below.